the Hall with the Oom Pom Band in the Head episode. You may have never seen that one. It's a classic. You can look it up on YouTube later. Kids in the Hall, Oom Pom Band in your head. Anyway, as you're ready, come to a comfortable sitting position. You can start by swaying a little side to side. You can circle around through the hips. Leave out anything that doesn't work for you. Changing the direction of the circles. You can come back to swaying a little side to side. And then gently let yourself unwind to a place that feels balanced between the right and the left side. Once you're here, you can exhale and tilt your hips under. Inhale and tilt your hips back. Doing a little pelvic tilt, noticing what it feels like for the hips to be tucked under versus tilt it back. And eventually settling into a place where the hips are not tucked under nor tilted that far back. They can feel balanced between the right and the left side. Hands resting someplace comfortable on your legs. Eyes soft or closed. And turning inside to the flow of the breath, filling the air on the nostrils. And just letting the breath flow through you. The lungs expanding out on your inhales and softening back in on your exhales. As you feel ready, you can lengthen and deepen the breath, balancing out the inhales and the exhales. And with your exhales, put the legs and the hips on the earth underneath you. And with your exhales, let yourself settle down into that support. Let yourself feel held. Breathe. As you continue to settle into the breath, and feel supported by the earth underneath you, particularly on your exhales. On your inhales, feel expansiveness from inside out. As the lungs inflate, feel the torso expanding, feel the spine lifting up out of the hips. And as you exhale and settle back into that support of the earth underneath you, keep some of the fullness that you cultivate on your inhales, and on your exhales, let your skin settle back onto that internal sense of fullness, that internal sense of support. Let your awareness rest in the breath. Throughout class, I invite you to maintain your connection to the breath. So if at any point you notice your thoughts are drifting or wandering, at that moment, bring your awareness, your attention back to the breath. I also invite you to be deeply connected to yourself. So give yourself some time here just to notice how you feel, physically, mentally, emotionally, honoring whatever that is, and let that guide your practice. Feel free to adjust the postures, to do different variations, to insert different poses as you feel inclined to. Even if what I say sounds like a command, it's not. Even if I say a lot of words, it's just shorthand. Feel free to adjust the postures, to do different variations, to insert different poses as you feel inclined to. All I ask of you is to try to stay connected to the flow of the breath and to move a bit with this connection. So breathe. We will start class with an Om. If you'd like to join in, I'll exhale, inhale, and then Om. Hands can come together in front of the heart. Exhaling. Inhale deeply, excuse me. Take a deep full breath in. And then exhale, releasing your hands, softly open the eyes. Welcome. No, you're fine. Have you done yoga before?
I have.
Okay.
Just not here.
Yeah. Any injuries or anything I should know about going on in your body?
Can I use your restroom?
Yes, it's right over here. So yeah, you'll have to pass the video cameras just so you know. So you'll have to kind of squirm around, but just kind of wiggle in. Also, Kyle, there are blocks and straps in the closet. We are using blocks today, so you might want to grab a couple blocks. Don't worry about it. No hurries. I know it's your first time coming here, so figuring out where things are and all that stuff is a thing. It's understandable.
What a great studio.
Thank you. It's It's not mine, but I still appreciate a compliment. Yeah, be careful, there's a video camera. As you're ready, you can come to all fours on your mat, coming to your hands and knees. Just taking a moment, settling in here. So hands can be outer shoulder distance width apart, middle of the wrist to shoulder distance width apart. Lines of the wrist relatively parallel with the front edge of the mat, fingers spreading and shifting the weight forward out of the wrist towards your fingers a little bit. Now, if palms flat doesn't work for you, feel free to play around with other hand positions. With your next inhale, lengthen the spine nice and long. Exhale and round the back and looking at your navel. Inhale and arch the back, head and tailbone up to the sky. And just connecting this movement to the flow of the breath. Moving back and forth to the rhythm of the breath and noticing how you feel, how your back feels, how your shoulders feel, how your neck feels, how your knees feel, how your wrists feel. But also notice what you're doing, rounding and arching the back, shoulders moving on and off the back, head and hips tilting under and up, and their thigh muscles moving forward and back. Feel free to continue this motion or keep rounding and arching the back, but maybe think of your tailbone as a pencil and start to draw circles on the wall back behind you with your tailbone. And then again, you'll still inhale and arch and exhale and round, but you might start to add this lateral motion through the spine as you circle through the hips, breathing. Maybe softening your elbows to let your spine move if that feels good for you. And after a few rounds of going in one direction, if you're doing this, draw the circles on the wall back behind you with your tailbone in the other direction, extending the spine in the opposite direction. If this is a new movement for you, changing the directions might feel a lot more complicated, so give yourself some grace. And then as you're ready, go ahead and come back to center. Inhale, nice long spine. With a nice long spine, feel the shoulders on the back, feel the core gently engaging, but not so much the hips tuck under. Walk your hands a little bit out in front of the shoulders. Notice how this feels for you. Feel free to stay here, or if you want to stretch the shoulders more, walk your knees back or your hands further forward. Stretch the hips up, back away from the hands, puppy pose. Feel free to keep the palms flat, or if you want to, you can lift up to your fingertips, hugging the finger pads underneath your fingernails in towards each other, really engaging the muscles of the hands and the palms. Feel the upper arms near the armpits lifting up. Feel the upper back right between the shoulders softening a little bit. Feel free to stay in center as you breathe, or if you want to, keeping your hands shoulder distance width apart, walk your hands over to the right side. Trying to keep your hips relatively level, shoulders relatively level. Stretch the outer left hip back for the wall behind you, making a lovely C-shape, crescent shape of the spine as you breathe. And as you feel ready, you can go ahead and walk your hands back in towards center. And exhale the hands over to the left side. Again, hands about shoulder distance width apart. Shoulders and hips relatively level. Maybe still trying to pull the bottoms of the shoulders gently in towards each other as you stretch the outer right hip back for the wall behind you. Breathing here. Nice full deep breath. Feel free to be up on fingertips or palms flat. Regardless, you can press down to the finger pads underneath your fingernails and hug them in towards each other a bit. Breathe. As you feel ready, coming back into center and making your way into a child's pose. So you might stay with your hips this high, just lower down to your forearms. Or if it feels comfortable for your knees and your hips and your back, you can bring your feet closer in towards each other, move the hips back towards your feet a little bit more, head towards the ground. Let the back gently round if that feels good for you, tucking your hips under a bit. But again, if that doesn't, then feel free to keep an extended spine. Nice full deep breaths wherever you're at. And then as you feel ready, easing your way forward onto your belly. Making a pillow for the head with your hands and gently rock your hips a bit from side to side here. Coming back into center with your hips, press down to the hips, bounce between the right and the left side. Spin the kneecaps to face the ground and actively stretching back through the legs and your feet here. Pressing the forehead onto the back of your hands, breathing here, nice, full, deep, complete breath. Keeping your head and the hands on the ground, and inhale and lift up through your elbows. Breathe. Exhale, lower the elbows back down. Keep rooting down to the hips. Inhale, lift your gaze a little bit. And if it works for you, bring your arms straight along the sides. Fingers pointing towards your toes, palms placing up or down. Keep pressing down to the hips, stretching long through the legs. With your next inhale, you can float up through the shoulders, maybe the chest too. Exhale and lowering back down. Inhale, lifting up through the shoulders, maybe the chest too. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale, lifting up to the shoulders and maybe the chest, flipping your hands to face forward. Hands underneath your biceps or your elbows. Act like you're dragging your hands back, feel the chest lifting forward, feel the breath moving through you. And with your hips relatively still, perhaps moving the torso just a bit from side to side here. Breathe. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. With your next inhale, coming back through center with the torso. Exhale, lower the head back down onto your hands. Relax the legs and the hips. And perhaps rocking your hips from side to side if that feels good in your body. Coming back into center with your hips. Press down through the hips. Stretch long through the legs with your kneecaps facing the ground. And if it works for you, stretch the arms forward out in front of you. Now, if that doesn't work for your neck or shoulders, you can have the hands wider apart, or you can bend your elbows a little bit, or you can leave your hands out entirely. You can also turn the palms to face in towards each other if you prefer. Pressing down strongly to the hips here. Balance between the right and the left side. With your next inhale, lift your right leg and the left arm up, maybe just an inch or two off the ground. Exhale and lower back down. Keep your kneecaps facing the ground. Inhale, left leg and right arm lifts. Exhale and lower. Inhale, right leg and left arm. Exhale and lower. Inhale, left leg and right arm. Exhale and lower. Inhale, right leg and left arm. Exhale and lower. Inhale, left leg and right arm. Exhale, lower down. Engaging your core, feel the low ribs gently hugging towards the spine. And from the core, stretch back through your feet, forward through your hands here. And then if you want to, with your next inhale, start to lift both hands and both feet up off the ground. Only as high as feels good for you. From the core, stretching back through the feet. From the core, stretching forward through the hands. Kneecaps facing the ground. Breathe. And then exhale, lower all the way back down. Rest your head on the hands and gently rock your hips a bit from side to side. Coming back into center with your hips from here and making your way back into a child's pose. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. With your next inhale, up to all fours. Nice, long spine. Exhale, round the back, look at your navel. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long. Slide the right foot on the ground, back behind you. Right foot flex, right toes curled under. From here, press the right heel back past the toes, getting a nice stretch through the calf muscle, the Achilles tendon. Breathe in here. And then as you're ready, bring the shoulders back forward over the wrists if they move back a little bit. And with your next inhale, go ahead and lift the right leg up off the ground here, knees and toes facing the ground. Exhale, swinging the right leg over to the right. As you do that, your foot might come closer to the ground. Inhale, stretch the right leg back behind you. Exhale, swinging the right leg over to the right side. Inhale, right leg back behind you. Exhale, right leg over to the right, setting the right foot on the ground. Right toes facing gently forward-ish here. And right leg relatively straight, although your toes might face a little bit to the side and you might need to bend your knee a little bit. From here, gently move your hips a bit from side to side, really just so you can notice if they feel like they're not centered or level with each other, and ending up with your hips nice and centered and level. From here, feel the thighs and the hips pressing back, feel the armpits and your chest stretching forward, feel the breath flowing through you, feel really free to stay here. Or if you want to, act like you're gonna move your hips back to a child's pose with your right leg over to the right side. Breathe, only go as far as works for you. And then as you feel ready, go ahead and coming back up, shoulders back, forward over the wrist if you move back, and slide that right leg in. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long. Exhale, round the back, look at your navel. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long. Slide that left foot on the ground, back behind you. Foot flex, toes curled under, and then press your left heel back past your toes. Getting a nice stretch to the calf muscle and Achilles tendon. Breathing here, nice full deep breaths. And then as you're ready, inhale, shoulders forward over the wrist here. And with your next inhale, you can lift the left leg up. And then with your next exhale, go ahead, swinging the left leg over to the left. Inhale, left leg back behind you. Exhale, a left foot over to the left. Inhale, left leg back behind you. Exhale, left leg to the left, set the foot down, knees and toes facing forward-ish, legs straight-ish, maybe moving your hips gently from side to side here. And just a heads up, your sides might feel really different between the two sides. I know mine would do. So once you're in center, lengthen the spine, feel the thighs and the hips pressing back with the armpits and the chest stretching forward, and maybe move the hips back like you're gonna do a child's pose. This is my tight side, breathe. Nice full deep breath. As you're ready, shoulders back, forward over the wrist, sliding that left leg in and coming back into a child's pose here. Breathe. Feel the breath flowing through you. And then as you're ready, you can go ahead and ease your way forward onto your belly, making a pillow for the head with your hands, and gently rock your hips a bit from side to side. Coming into center with your hips, press down through the hip stretch, long through the legs, knees facing the ground. Lift your gaze up a little bit from here. Bring the hands to either side of the chest, underneath your biceps or your elbows. Floating the hands up off the ground, put the shoulder blades on the back. And then here, keep rooting down through the hips. If it works for you, inhale, lifting up through the shoulders and the chest in this position. Exhale and lowering back down. Inhale and lifting up. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale, lift up through the shoulders and the chest, holding that lift. Lower the hands down. Act like you're dragging your hands back for the chest lifting forward. And then maybe let the whole torso just rock from side to side a bit here. So even letting the hips move and breathe. Okay, once you feel balance between your two sides, coming back into center from here, and exhale, lower all the way down. Rest your head on the hands, gently rock your hips a bit from side to side here. And as you're ready, easing your way back into a child's pose. Breathe. With your next inhale, up to all fours. Nice long spine. Exhale, feel the shoulders gently moving toward each other on the back. Feel the low ribs gently hugging in towards the spine, but not so much the hips tuck under. Nice long spine. Curl the toes under, and if downward facing dog is in your practice, you can lift your knees up and press your hips up, back away from your hands, coming into a downward facing dog. If that's not for you, stay in all fours or just make your way to standing as you feel ready. You can, if you are in downward facing dog, bend the right knee, stretch out to the left leg. And then bending the left knee, stretching out to the right leg, bending and straightening the legs, moving the hips a bit from side to side, breath flowing through you here. And then as you feel ready, look forward at the hands, bend both knees, either walking your feet towards your hands or your hands towards the feet. Once all the weight's in your feet, hands to the hips, and with a nice long spine, all the way up to standing. As you feel ready, you can go ahead and make your way to near the front of the mat, maybe grabbing a block and bringing the block with you so it's nearby for use. Lining yourself up here, so feet a comfortable distance width apart from each other. Knees facing directly forward, second toes facing forward, knees tracking towards second toes or thereabouts, and shifting the weight a bit forward and back in your feet here. Eventually coming to a place where the weight feels balanced between the front and the back of your feet. Wiggle your toes. And then with your next inhale, go ahead and lift your toes up and just feel the muscles of the feet waking up some with your toes. Exhale, go ahead and release. Inhale and lift your toes up. And if it works for you, spread the toes apart from each other. If they don't move, no worries. And then if you can, with your toes spread lower them back to the ground. And again, if that doesn't work for you, no worries. Balance out the weight between the front and the back of your feet and the inner and outer edges of the feet. And then think about your arches and try to figure out where your arch muscles are and pull up through the arches without curling the toes under. Feel the leg muscles hugging to the bone, but the knee joint soft. Feel the muscles around the hips hugging in, including pelvic floor muscles lifting in and up. Feel the tops of the hips and back lifting in and up, a little arch of the back there, but not too big of one. Low ribs in front also lift in and up. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back, head and neck stacked above the rest of the spine. Feel the breath flowing through you here, and with your exhales anchoring from the hips down to the feet into the earth. With your next exhale, release the arms to the side, moving through the shoulders. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms back to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Right hand can grab left wrist. Exhaling over to the right side. Inhale to center, left hand, right wrist. Exhale to the left. Inhale up to center, right hand, left wrist. Exhale to the right. Inhale up to center, left hand, right wrist. Exhale to the left. Inhale up to center, right hand, left wrist. Exhale to the right. Inhale up to center, left hand, right wrist. Exhale to the left. Inhale, up to center. Exhale, release the arms to the side. Knees as wide apart as your feet. Inhale, bend your knees, act like you're sitting back in a chair. Utkatasana, arms lift up as much as feels good for you. Exhale, back up to standing. Inhale, bend your knees, Utkatasana. Exhale, hands to your knees. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long out of the hips here. With your next exhale, keep some of that space you create between the vertebrae of the spine, but let the back round, pouring the spine forward over the legs if that feels good for you. And then inhale, coming back up to an extended spine, stretching the chest forward out of the hips. Exhale, pouring the spine forward over the legs, letting the back round. Inhale, coming back up to an extended spine, chest, stretching the chest forward. And then exhale, pouring the spine forward over the legs. From here, you can bring the hands to lower on the legs to the block or the floor, whatever works for you. If you like to flip block lower, you could do that as well. And then wherever you are, inhale, lift the back of the hips up, straightening the legs, however much feels good for you. Exhale, bend the knees as wide apart as your feet. Inhale, back of the hips lifting up, straightening the legs. Exhale, bending the knees as wide apart as the feet. Inhale, straightening the legs here, breathing here, nice full deep breath. From the hips rooting down to the feet into the earth, maybe seeing if you can figure out those arch muscles and pulling up the arches. And then with your next inhale, stretching the chest forward, maybe sliding the hands up higher on the legs here. Exhale and fold in. Inhale and lengthen through the spine. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold, maybe flipping the block to the highest height if you flipped it lower. As you feel ready, nice, strong, steady legs, hands to the hips, shoulders on the back. Nice, long spine, all the way up to standing. Soften your knees, shift your weight into your right foot, a comfortable side step back with your left foot. Back heel can be up or down, hips facing generally forward, so point the left hip a little bit forward, right hip a little bit back. If your balance feels unstable, you can always wiggle your left foot a bit more to the left. With the right knee tracking towards your second toe, exhale and bending that knee. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Right knee approximately on top of the ankle. Press down through both feet. Feel the spine lifting up out of the hips. And if you want to, taking your arms by your ears. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1 variation here. While you're in the pose, pressing down nice and stable through both feet. When you feel ready to come out of the pose, shift your weight into your right foot. Step the left foot forward. Hands to your hips. Soften your knees, weight to your left foot, right foot goes back. Hips facing generally forward, left hip pulls back, right hip forward, left knee tracking towards second toe or thereabouts. Exhale and bending that knee. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Press down through the hips, feel the spine lifting up. Maybe arms alongside by the ears. Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1, breathing here. Both feet feeling nice and steady on the ground. Maybe seeing if you can find your arch muscles here and feel the arches lifting up. Breathe. And then as you're ready, shifting your weight into your left foot, step the right foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Feel the breath flowing through you. Feel the earth underneath your feet. And with your next exhale, release the hands to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high, legs bent or straight. Exhale, pull forward, hands to legs, block or floor. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Press down to the feet. Nice long spine. Arms come wide. Reach all the way up towards the sky. Exhale your hands to your hips. Soften your knees. Shift your weight into your right foot. Left foot goes back a comfortable amount. Hips facing generally forward. Right knee tracking towards the second toe. Exhale and bending that right knee. Inhale, nice long spine. Maybe arms up alongside by the ears. With that nice long spine, lean forward. Bring your hands to your right knee. Right hand staying on the right knee. Left hand grabs the block. And bring the block underneath your left shoulder here. From here, press down to the feet, hug into the hips. Even though the right hand's on the right leg, don't press down too much with that hand. Feel the right foot, act like you're gonna drag it back without moving it. And feel the outer right hip going back for the wall behind you. And feel the top of your right leg lifting up into your hip socket, maybe so much that you slowly start to straighten that leg. How much? However much works for you. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long here. And then exhale, turning your chest over that right leg. You can fold forward. The right hand can come lower on the right leg or to the floor. And if the floor is easy for you, you can bring just both hands to the floor. But if you like the support of the block while one hand's on your leg, that is also a lovely place to be. Breathing wherever you're at. Nice full deep breaths. And then go ahead, move the block underneath the left hand if you're using it over to the left a bit. Hands to the hips. Nice long spine, all the way up to standing. Soften that right knee, step that left foot forward. Go ahead, bend your knees, grab the block and put it over near in front of you or toward the right a little bit. And then from here with your hands on your hips, nice soft knee, shift your weight to your left foot, right foot goes back. Hips facing gently forward, left knee tracking towards second toe. Exhale and bending that knee. Inhale, nice long spine, arms alongside by the ears with that nice long spine leaning forward. Left hand to the left knee, right hand can grab the block and bring the block underneath your right shoulder. Not a lot of weight in the left hand. Feel like the left foot is dragging back and also feel like the left half of the leg is suctioning up into your hip socket. And then keep that action as maybe you extend that left leg straighter. Inhale, you can stretch the chest forward out of the hips here. Turn the chest over the left leg and maybe fold in. Maybe left hand comes further down the leg. Maybe hands come to the floor. Again, whatever works for you, wherever feels like a good place for you to be, that you feel supported. Breathe. Nice, full, deep breath. And then moving the block underneath the right hand, maybe a bit to the side, hands to the hips. Nice long spine, all the way up to standing. Soften that left knee, step the right foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Feel the breath flowing through you. Feel the earth underneath your feet. With your next exhale, release the hands to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Legs bent or straight, exhale, full forward. Hands to legs, block or floor. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Bend your knees deeply enough to get the hands to the ground and make your way back to downward facing dog. If downward facing dog does not work for you, all fours is great. If you are in downward facing dog, maybe bending both knees here and maybe pressing the hips up, back, past your knees. Really getting linked in the low back. Breathe. And then exhale, coming down to all fours, hands and knees here. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long here. Exhale, round the back, look at your navel. Inhale, nice long spine. Slide the right foot back behind you, right toes on the ground. Maybe sliding the left hand forward out in front of you. Feel free to stay here. Feel free to just move your right leg or inhale, right leg and left arm lifts up. Exhale and lowering back down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale, lift up from the core, stretch back to the right leg, forward to the left hand. Breathing here, nice full deep breaths. And then as you're ready, go ahead and lower the right knee and the left hand down. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long. Exhale, round the back and look at your navel. Inhale, stretch the spine nice and long, sliding that left leg back behind you. Maybe right arm forward in front of you. And again, feel free to stay here or just move the leg, but if you want to, inhale, left leg and right arm can lift. Exhale and lower. Inhale and lift. Exhale and lower. Inhale and lift. From the core, stretch back to the left foot, forward to the right hand. Breathe. And then exhale, go ahead, lower the left knee and the right hand down and come back into a child's pose. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. With your next inhale, ease your way forward onto your belly. Making a pillow for the head with your hands and gently rock your hips a bit from side to side here. Come back into center with your hips from here. Press down to the hips, stretch long through the legs, knees facing the ground, feet on the ground. Lift your gaze a little bit. Hands to either side of the chest, floating up to the hands, to the shoulders on the back. With your next inhale, maybe curling up to the shoulders and the chest. Exhale, lower the hands down. Act like you're dragging them back to the chest and the feet forward, for the shoulders on the back. And then maybe slowly with control, lifting up a little bit higher here, taking multiple breaths, keeping the shoulders moving away from the ears and shoulders on the back. Wherever you can hold, press the back of the head back, maybe lift your chin a little bit. And with just as much control, lower all the way back down. Rest your head on the hand, gently rock your hips from side to side. Okay, the next thing is one of those weird measurement things, so it might take a few tries to get the block in the right place, just a heads up. So what you're gonna do is grab the block, and I think all of you are deep black back benders. If you're at home, you actually might start at lowest height, but we're gonna go ahead and start at medium height here. What you're gonna do is you're gonna try to think of where your top of the chest is, really the top of the sternum area is. We're gonna lift up into a cobra and try to land that on the block. So kind of have the block in, and you're gonna have to kind of grab and slide and move the block even from Cobra. But, again, press down through the hips, stretch along through the legs, and just lifting up a little bit here. And again, just notice height of block and chest, grabbing the block, pulling it in towards the top of the sternum, and then let the sternum gently rest on the block just a little bit here as you roll the shoulders back. So you're not really pressing down hard on the block, you're just using it to really extend the sternum forward into breathe. Okay, and then go ahead, slide the block over to the side, lower down, rest your head on the hands and gently rock the hips. If that height was easy for you, we're gonna go ahead and switch higher. So if you're at home and you did low, you might try medium. If you tried medium, high. So flipping the block to highest height. Hands in either side of the chest, shoulders on the back. You can flip up the hands for a moment if you want to. And then as you're ready, starting to lift up here. And again, you kind of have to. It's hard with one hand, I know. Shimmy, slide, wiggle that block in. And then the block's not super stable here, so you're not pressing down hard. You're lengthening or extending that top of the sternum forward as you try to roll the shoulders onto the back and away from the ears. So it's more of a feedback than an intense thing. And Emily, you're up way too high. So you could be down, have the block further for you. Yes. Okay. And you're really up really high too. So you could even be down lower and just hitting the top of the chest. Yeah. So you're just extending forward more than up. Okay, go ahead, slide the block out, lower down, gently rock the hips from side to side. And then coming back into center with your hips here. And just pausing for a moment on your belly, breathing here. Let yourself settle. I don't think we use props enough, and there are several different ways that props can be used. And one is simply for feedback. And that was an example of where with feedback as opposed to supportive. Okay. As you feel ready, bring the hands to either side of the chest. Inhale, lifting up through the hands, lifting the shoulders on the back again. Exhale, you can stay firmly low through the chest though. Keep the shoulders on the back, lower the hands down. And maybe again start to sway a little side to side. Okay, this time, the next time you're over on the left side, you can lift the right leg up if you like and stretch that leg back behind you. Inhale to center, yeah. Exhale, leaning over to the right, left leg stretches. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right, left right leg might lift. Inhale to center, exhale to the right, left leg might lift. Inhale to center, exhale to the left, right leg might lift. Inhale to center, exhale to the right, left leg might lift. Inhale up to center, exhale lower down, rest your head on the hands, gently rock your hips. Coming back into center from here and making your way back into a child's pose. Breathe. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. With your next inhale, up to all fours. Nice long spine. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe. If you notice your hips are tucking under a little bit in downward facing dog, bend your knees and just untuck your hips. Nice full deep breaths wherever you're at. As you're ready, look forward to the hands, bend your knees, walk your feet towards the hands or the hands towards the feet. Once all the weight's in your feet, hands to the hips, nice long spine, all the way up to standing. And then as you're ready, you can go ahead and make your way to the front of the mat, grabbing the block, bringing it with you, block at highest height, lining your feet up with each other here. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Feel the breath flowing through you. Feel the earth underneath your feet. And then with your next exhale, bring your hands to your hips, soften your knees, shift your weight to your right foot. Comfortable side step back with your left foot. Hips facing gently forward, right knee tracking towards second toe. Exhale and bend that knee. Inhale, nice long spine, arms alongside by the ears. Exhale, nice long spine, leaning forward. Right hand to the right knee, left hand grabs the block. Bring the block underneath your left shoulder. Feel free to keep your feet here or spin that left heel up and start to slide, wiggle, scoot that left foot away from the right. How far away, however far works for you with the right knee still on top of the ankle, tracking towards the second toe. Press down through your feet, muscularly hug into your hips with your legs in this position. And then start to get light through the light hand, light fingers. From here, if you want to, start to stretch that left arm forward And then slowly lifting up through the torso as you reach that left hand up. Breathe. And if you want to take the right hand too, you can bring the right hand too. Nice full deep breath, crescent lunge, another version of Virabhadrasana 1. And then as you're ready, right hand to the right leg, left hand to the block, press down to the right foot, slide, wiggle, scoot, step the left foot forward. Inhale and lengthen through the spine. Exhale and fold, press down to the feet. Nice long spine, arms come wide, reach all the way up towards the sky. Exhale your hands to your hips, soften your knees, shift your weight into your right foot. Left foot goes back a comfortable amount. Hips facing gently forward, right knee tracking towards second toe. Exhale and bending that knee. Inhale, nice long spine, arms up alongside by the ears. Exhale, nice long spine, lean forward, right hand to the knee, left hand to the block. Go ahead. Did we do this one?
Yeah, I think we did.
I'm out of it, sorry. So go ahead, come back up to standing. That's just reboot. So as you're ready, go ahead and step the right foot back. Hips facing gently forward, left knee tracking towards second toe. Exhale and bend the left knee. Inhale, lengthen the spine, arms lift up. Exhale, leaning forward, left hand to the left knee, right hand to the block. Block underneath the right shoulder. And then go ahead and slide the right foot back. Left knee on top of the ankle, tracking towards the second toe. Press down to your feet, muscularly hug into your hips. Stabilizing here, start to get light through that right hand. So maybe coming up to the fingertips on the block, but not having a lot of weight there. Then if it works for you, stretch that arm forward. And then if you want to, start to bring your torso more upright, only as much as feels good for you. If you want to, the left hand can lift up too. Breathing here, nice full deep breath. And then as you're ready, the left hand to the left knee, right hand to the block, press down to the left foot, slide, wiggle, scoot, step the right foot forward. Inhale and lengthen through the spine. Exhale and fold, press down to the feet. Nice long spine, arms come wide, reach all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Feel the breath going through you. Feel the earth underneath your feet. Go ahead, bend your knees, nice long spine, grab the block. And with the block in between the hands, open your legs wide to the sides. Lining your feet up with each other here. Toes facing gently towards the long end of the mat. And then take the block in between your hands. Press your hands into the blocks. Elbows lifting up. Feel the shoulder blades moving in toward each other on the back as you press your hands into the block. Then your right toes will either face towards the long end of the mat or turn towards the left a little bit. Left toes all the way out to the left side, hips opening back to the right, but only as much as feels good for you. So, Emily, right toes in, left toes out. Yeah. That's okay, I'm there too. And then with that left knee tracking towards the second toe, exhale and bend that knee. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bending the left knee. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend the left knee. Take the block into your left hand. Right hand to your hip, and then the block, you're gonna set it inside the left foot on the ground. And closer to the foot for most people is gonna be harder than a little bit in front of the foot, just so you know that. You can play around though and see what works for you. Wherever you end up, left knee on top of the ankle generally, tracking towards your second toe, and then stretch your spine out of your hips here. So maybe with the right hand, feel the hips pressing back as you stretch your chest forward. Then start to turn your chest towards the sky, and if you want to, extending the right arm out of the shoulder here. Feel free to keep twisting through the chest towards the sky, or to take the right arm alongside by the ears. This is a version of Parsvakonasana. Breathing here, nice full deep breaths. And then if you did stretch the right arm alongside by the ear, maybe stretch it back to the sky, press down through both feet strongly. Left hand holding to the block, bring the block with you as you come up right to the torso. Turn the left toes to the long end of the mat or towards the right. Right toes all the way out, hands pressing into the block, elbows lifting up, shoulders gently moving towards each other on the back, hips opening to the left. With that right knee tracking towards your second toe. Exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Right knee approximately on top of the ankle. And again, block in the right hand, left hand onto your hip, setting the block down. Wherever is comfortable for you. So again, if you want that block a little bit in front of the right foot, and if that feels better for you, go ahead and do that. But trying to keep the right knee pointing towards your second toe. Inhale, stretch the spine out of the hips. Use the left hand to press your hips back as your chest stretches forward. And then exhale, twisting the chest towards the sky, turning the chest to the left. Feel free to stay here. Feel free to extend that left arm out of the shoulder socket. Feel free to take the left arm alongside by your ears. Breathe. Parsvakonasana variation. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. As you feel ready, go ahead and lift the left arm back to the sky. Press down strongly through both feet. Take the block with you as you come up. Turn all 10 toes towards the long end of the mat. Block, hands on the block, elbows lifting, hands pressing into the block, shoulders moving towards each other on the back. Look down at your feet and your knees for a moment. Make sure your knees are tracking towards your second toe. And then we'll exhale and bend the right knee, leaning to the right, straightening the left leg, leaning forward through the torso a bit. Inhale back to center. Exhale, bend the left leg, leaning to the left, leaning through the torso. Inhale back to center. Exhale, bend the right knee, straightening the left. Inhale to center. Exhale, bend the left knee, straightening the right. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale up to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale up to center. With your knees a little bit soft, start to tilt forward at the hips. Feel the thighs and the hips leaning back, armpits and chest lifting forward. Put the block down underneath your shoulders. Flip the block maybe to medium height here, and then maybe walk your hands out in front of the shoulders with the block, and with your knees a little bit bent, start to shift the weight into the back of your feet, stretching your hips up, back, away from the block, with your knees a tad bent, and really lengthening out that low back by shifting the weight into the back of your feet. Try not to flip over backwards though. Breathe. As you're ready, bring as much weight to the front of the foot as is in the back of the foot. If you want to extend the leg straighter after you do that, you could. And then you could go ahead and bring the hands to the ground if that works for you, and walk your hands towards your feet. Now, about that block, you could just ignore it, or you could bring it with you, or you could take the block and maybe flip the block to a height that it feels good resting your head on. So that might be high, it might be medium, it might be low. But if there's a place where you can rest your head on the block that feels good for you, and it might be more the forehead or it might be more the top of the head, just depending on your proportions and how things feel. But you can root your head onto the block if that feels good for you. Breathe. Okay, staying nice and strong and steady through the legs. Go ahead, inhale, lengthen the chest forward, looking up a little bit. Grab that block, soften your knees, take the block with you, come up to standing. Then with your knees soft, heel to your feet in towards each other, shake out the legs. And turn and face towards the front of the mat. Lining yourself up here. And as you're really thinking about how to place props and letting them be a part of the practice, so sometimes I take them with me. You don't have to do that. And then inhale and lengthen the spine. Exhale to lean forward at the hips and placing the block down. Inhale and lengthen the spine here. Exhale and fold. Bend your knees deeply, hands to the ground, and maybe make your way back to a downward facing dog. In my early days of yoga, I had a teacher who said you could take a break and do things like get a glass of water, but try to stay with your breath even as you're doing that. So just something to think about. Inhale, shoulders forward over the wrist, plank pose. You might need to wiggle your feet back a little bit. Exhale, lower your knees to the ground here. Then grab that block again, block at the highest height. Put it a bit in front of your palms here. So maybe where your fingers are, you can kind of play around with things once you've done this a few times, and you might have a favorite place. But with your knees a bit behind your hips, lengthen your spine. So feel the armpits and the chest stretching forward, feel the spine in extension, shoulder blades gently on the back, core engaging, and think about that top of the chest again, but keeping your spine nice and long, so not letting the hips sat down, keeping everything nice and long and engaged. With your next exhale, with your elbows pointing back to the wall behind you, aim the top of the chest towards the block, and then inhale and come back up. Exhale, you might even tap down, so bending your elbows, top of the chest, aiming towards block. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, top of the chest, aiming towards the block. Inhale, come back up. And then coming back into a child's pose, you can move the block over to the side. Breathe. Nice, full, deep, complete. With your next inhale, coming back to your belly. So easing your way forward onto your belly. Gently rock your hips a bit from side to side here. Coming back into center from here, press down through the hips, stretch long through the legs. With your next inhale, open your hands wide apart, coming into a goalpost or cactus position. And then go ahead and lift your elbows up, sliding the hands back a little bit. Your palms could be down or you could be up on fingertips. Feel the bottom tips of the shoulders hugging in here. Press down through the hips. Inhale, lifting up through the shoulders, maybe the chest. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale and lifting up. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale, lift and hold a little bit of a lift. You might come down if you lift it up really high. So the shoulders on the back here and start to again rock from side to side. Now your shoulders in a bit different position now, so this might feel more intense for the shoulders. So honor your shoulders. If you need to back off, you can bring your hands closer in like we were before. If you want to make things a little bit more interesting, you might even open your hands a bit wider apart. If it works for you from here, or if it works for your shoulder, what we're going to do is lean to the left side. So this left shoulder will start to come down a little bit, but the action is you're lifting it up and rolling it back. And you might lift that right leg up, and you might take the right leg over to the left somewhere. But again, you're only coming as deep into the shoulder stretch as feels good for you. Breathe. Okay, as you're ready, go ahead and come back into center. And second side. So leaning over to the right, easing your way into it. Right shoulder rolls onto the back and away from your ears a little bit. That left leg might lift up. You might stretch the left leg back, but again, only coming as well to the shoulder stretch as feels good for you. And you can even, if you can intuit or feel an arm position that feels better for you, you can play around with changing the arm position and coming really just into a lovely shoulder stretch for that right side. As you're ready, go ahead and come back into center. Rest your head on the hands and gently rock your hips from side to side here. And then coming back into center with your hips, open your knees outer hip distance apart, knees spin to face the ground. Press down strongly to your hips here. Exhale and bending both knees. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bending both knees. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bending your knees. Feel really free to stay here, or you can lift your gaze a bit, arms straight along the sides, fingers pointing toward the toes, maybe lifting up to the shoulders and the chest, maybe floating up to the hands, maybe one foot or both feet are closed and you grab them, maybe kick the feet into your hands, maybe the knees float up. Again, whatever works for you. And then exhale, lower all the way down, rest your head on the hands. Gently rock your hips a bit from side to side. As you feel ready, coming back into center from here and making your way back into a child's pose. Breathe. With your next inhale, make your way to sitting with the legs straight forward out in front of you, knees and toes pointing up to the sky, and just grabbing someplace easy to grab on the legs from here. So just someplace that's comfortable, easy to grab with your knees and toes pointing to the sky. Pull back on your legs and try to sit up nice and tall. So if you notice your hips are tucking under, bend your knees a little bit to untuck your hips. Breathing here. And then once you find a place that your hips are not tucking under, if you want to ease your way into a forward fold, you can ease your way into a forward fold. Breathe, yeah. Feel free to use props, always. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. As you're ready, go ahead and come back up. Bring the hands back behind you. Untuck your hips, lift up to the low back, open to the chest, open to the throat. Feel really free to stay here. Or if you want to bend your knees, knees as wide apart as your feet, and only if it works for your shoulders and your neck, you can inhale, stretch your knees forward and float the hips up, only as much as feels good for you. Exhale and lower the hips back down. Inhale, stretch your knees forward and float the hips up. Exhale and lower. You can hold the next round if you want to. Inhale, stretch your knees forward, float the hips up, maybe holding here. Feel the knees and the hips stretching towards the front of the room, the shoulders on the back. You sometimes have to play around with good head and neck positions. That can vary from person to person in this position. Breathe. And then go ahead and lower the hips back down. Straighten the legs forward out in front of you again, lifting up to the chest, breathing here. And then from here, if it works for you, lowering down to your elbows, lifting up to your chest here. Okay, as you lift up to the chest here, feel free to stay here. If it works for your neck, you can tilt your head back, but only if that works for your neck. And you might start to walk your elbows down towards your hips, lift your chest up, and maybe bring the top of the head towards the ground. But again, only if that works for your neck to have that position of the head and neck. And it definitely does not work for everyone's neck. Once you're as close to the ground as works for you and you feel like you're done doing this position, this fish pose variation, you go ahead and tuck your hips under and just make your way all the way onto your back or come to your back, however works for you. When you're on your back, you can hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking. Feel free to draw circles on the ceiling with the knees and just let the hips move around a bit on the ground. If you like to do that, just going in both directions, breathing here. And then we'll come straight into twisting. I, a lot of times, like to grab a block and squeeze the narrow end of the block between my upper inner thighs. That just helps to firm up some of the muscles around the sacroiliac joint. And so if you have a lot of problems with your sacrum, if you know what that is and what's going on there, this can be a helpful thing to do. Arms in a position that you can press down to the shoulders and the back of the head. That might be T or airplane or W or cactus. Pressing down to the shoulders and the back of the head. Always feel free to bring the feet to the ground. When you're ready, you can exhale the knees over to the right side. Inhale, up to center. Exhale the knees to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale the knees to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale the knees to the right. Holding your knees on the right side. Relaxing the left shoulder towards the ground or pressing the left shoulder into the ground. If it feels good for your neck to turn your head and look over the left shoulder, you might do that. Breathe. And then as you feel ready, go ahead, unwinding back to center. And exhale the knees over to the left side. Right shoulder nice and heavy or moving towards the ground. Maybe turning your gaze and looking over that right shoulder. Breathing here. Nice, full, deep, complete breath. As you feel ready, go ahead, unwinding back to center. You can take the block and put it over to the side if you're using it. Hugging the knees into the chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking. Feel free to stay in a ball as you rock, or if you want to, you can keep on rocking, but open the knees wider apart, maybe lengthening the spine a bit, maybe pulling the knees towards the ground on either side of the torso, perhaps flipping your feet up to the sky, holding onto the back of your knees to your lower legs or your feet as you rock from side to side. Happy baby pose variations, whatever one works for you. Breathe. Eventually unwinding into center and full body stretch. Stretch the arms up above the head, legs along the ground, lengthen the back of your hips towards your feet. And then as you feel ready, Shavasana or whatever final relaxation position works for you. So if you are doing Shavasana, you can bring the arms by the sides in the airplane position, palms facing up, open the legs wider apart than the hips, lengthen the back of the hips towards your feet, and relax here. But if this position is not really comfortable for you, any position that the spine is relatively neutral and supported that you can relax into is great. So feel free to play with different arm positions. If your back bothers you with your legs straight, feel free to bend your knees and bring the feet to the ground. Feel free to do a Supta Baddha Konasana with the feet together, knees apart if you like that. If you don't like to be on your back, come to your side. If you like to be in sitting, come to sitting. Again, any position, spine relatively neutral and supported that you can relax into. Once you find the position that works in your body for today, let your eyes be soft or closed. Feel the breath flowing through you and feel the support of the earth underneath you. And with every exhale, just let yourself settle down into the support of the earth underneath you a bit more. Let your bones feel heavy. Let your skin feel soft. And whenever you're as relaxed as you're going to get, let go of the conscious awareness of your breath. And just let yourself be here. Whatever that might mean for you in this moment. feel ready, coming into small movements, wiggling fingers and toes, circling ankles and wrists, stretching arms and legs. When you feel ready, you can bend your knees and ease your way over onto your side, traditionally right, if you like to go to your side. But wherever you are, feel the breath flowing through you, feel the earth underneath you. And as you feel ready, you can ease your way into a comfortable sitting position. Legs and hips staying nice and heavy through the transition. Once you are sitting, you can feel the spine lifting up, keeping that deep connection to the current of your breath. We will finish with an Om. If you'd like to join in, hands together in front of the heart. Exhaling. Inhale deep.